The warm aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the soft hum of conversation and the occasional clatter of dishes at Grounded Cafe, a favorite spot in downtown Austin. The cafe was alive with the usual weekday rush, filled with freelancers hunched over laptops, students cramming for finals, and professionals grabbing a quick caffeine fix before their next meeting. At the center of it all was Lisa Harrington, the cafe's manager. Lisa was a no-nonsense woman with sharp blue eyes that missed nothing. She wore her apron like armor, moving with the precision of someone who had mastered the art of efficiency. Her staff respected her for her work ethic, but also tread lightly around her fiery temper, especially during the morning rush. Lisa glanced at the clock, noting with satisfaction that the orders were coming out smoothly, despite the steady stream of customers. She allowed herself a brief moment to sip her own lukewarm coffee before the door jingled, signaling another arrival. A tall man stepped inside, dressed in a simple hoodie, jeans, and sneakers. A baseball cap shadowed his face, and he carried himself with an air of quiet purpose. Lisa gave him a cursory glance, filing him in her mind as another customer blending into the crowd. The man approached her, his voice low and even. "Hi, is there a table available?" Lisa barely looked up from her clipboard. The cafe was buzzing, and her focus was on maintaining the rhythm of orders and table turnovers. "It's self-seating," she said briskly, gesturing toward the tables. "If you see one open, grab it. Otherwise, the line's over there." The man nodded politely, but Lisa was already moving on to the next task, not giving him a second thought. She didn't have time to babysit indecisive customers, especially ones who looked like they might linger with just a cup of water. The man hesitated briefly before stepping aside, scanning the crowded room for a spot. Lisa returned to her whirlwind of activity, forgetting the man entirely as she shouted instructions to her barista and fielded questions from her servers. She prided herself on keeping the cafe running like clockwork, and today would be no exception. At least, that's what she thought. Elon Musk stood in line, glancing over the menu on the wall. He seemed to take his time, stepping forward hesitantly as he weighed his options. Behind him, the line grew longer, and the impatience of the other customers was palpable. Murmurs started, quiet but insistent. Lisa, stationed at the register to assist during the rush, noticed the lag immediately. Her brow furrowed as she stepped forward. "Sir, we've got a line here," she said sharply, her tone louder than necessary. "It's just coffee and pastries, doesn't take that long." Elon looked up, meeting her gaze. His expression was calm, almost amused, which only fueled Lisa's irritation. "I'll just take a black coffee," he said, his voice steady but soft. "Finally," Lisa muttered under her breath, typing in the order with a flourish and gesturing for the next customer to step forward. She didn't care if he heard. She wanted the line to keep moving, not linger because of someone who couldn't make up their mind. The tension wasn't lost on the other patrons. Some glanced at Elon curiously, their expressions a mix of pity and discomfort. Others whispered to each other, wondering why the manager was so short-tempered. Elon, however, seemed unbothered. He waited quietly as the barista prepared his coffee. When his order was ready, Lisa called it out sharply. "Black coffee for the time waster." A ripple of awkward laughter spread through the cafe. Elon stepped forward, retrieved his drink, and placed a crisp $100 bill in the tip jar, a gesture so subtle that Lisa didn't notice. He nodded politely to the barista, then turned to leave. His departure was quiet, almost unremarkable, yet it left a lingering tension in the air. Lisa didn't give him a second thought, already moving on to the next order. She hadn't realized that her words and actions had set the stage for something far bigger than the morning rush. The morning rush had finally slowed, and Lisa allowed herself a moment to catch her breath. She leaned against the counter, watching as a few regulars settled into their usual seats. One of them, a middle-aged man named Tom, approached her with his cup of coffee in hand. Tom was a frequent visitor to the cafe, known for his easygoing nature and knack for small talk. You know who that guy was, right? Tom asked casually, nodding toward the door where Elon Musk had exited hours earlier. Lisa frowned, unsure of what he meant. The guy in the hoodie? Just another customer, I guess. Why? Tom chuckled, shaking his head in disbelief. That wasn't just some guy. That was Elon Musk. Lisa froze for a moment, then rolled her eyes. Yeah, right. Elon Musk is going to come into this place dressed like that? He's probably some wannabe tech guy who thinks he's important. Tom shrugged. Suit yourself, but I'd recognize that face anywhere. You might want to Google it. Lisa waved him off, her irritation bubbling just beneath the surface. Even if it was him, so what? I treat everyone the same here. Doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or just grabbing a coffee. Tom gave her a knowing smile and returned to his table. But the thought lingered in Lisa's mind. Could it have really been him? She dismissed it quickly, focusing on the tasks at hand. Her day was already packed, and she didn't have time to dwell on what she assumed was a harmless misunderstanding. Later that afternoon, the cafe was quieter, and Lisa found herself scrolling through her phone during a brief lull. That's when she saw it. A social media post from one of the morning customers, complete with a blurry photo of Elon Musk at the counter. The caption read, "When the manager at your local cafe doesn't recognize Elon Musk and calls him a time waster. Awkward." Lisa's stomach sank as she read through the comments. The reactions were immediate and polarizing. Some users defended her. Why should she treat him differently? A customer is a customer. But many others weren't as kind. Seriously? That's how you treat someone who's done more for the world than you can imagine? Within hours, the post had gone viral, with hashtags like FongCafeGate and .Elon Musk trending. Lisa stared at her phone, her irritation turning to unease. She had no idea that a seemingly ordinary day was about to spiral into chaos. By the next morning, Lisa's world was upside down. The cafe's social media pages were flooded with comments, many of them harsh and critical. What kind of manager insults their customers, let alone someone like Elon Musk? I used to love this place, but after seeing how they treated Elon, I'm done. The few supportive messages did little to offset the barrage of negativity. Lisa scrolled through the comments, her heart pounding. She had always been proud of her work ethic, but now it felt like her reputation was crumbling in real time. To make matters worse, the local news had picked up the story. Articles with headlines like "Cafe Manager Insults Billionaire Innovator" and "Elon Musk's Coffee Snub Sparks Online Fury" began circulating. Each piece detailed the incident, often exaggerating Lisa's actions for dramatic effect. Lisa's phone buzzed constantly. Texts from friends, emails from customers, and even a few voicemails from strangers. Most were critical, accusing her of being rude and short-sighted. One particularly scathing message read, "You had a chance to make an impression on someone who could have changed your life and you blew it. Good job." Amid the chaos, Lisa's boss, Greg, called her in for an urgent meeting. Greg, the cafe's owner, was a soft-spoken man in his late 40s who valued the cafe's reputation above all else. Lisa arrived at his office with a mix of dread and defiance, unsure of what to expect. Greg sighed, gesturing for Lisa to sit. "Lisa, I've been getting calls all morning. This thing with Elon Musk, it's everywhere." Lisa bristled. "I didn't even know it was him, Greg. I treat every customer the same, and honestly, I don't see what the big deal is." "The big deal," Greg said, his voice calm but firm, "is that our cafe is now the center of a social media firestorm. People are boycotting us, canceling reservations, and leaving negative reviews. We can't afford this kind of publicity." Lisa folded her arms, her frustration evident. "So what am I supposed to do? Apologize for not kissing someone's boots just because they're rich?" Greg leaned forward, his expression serious. "This isn't about his wealth. It's about how we treat people. Like it or not, this is bigger than you now. We need to figure out how to fix this before it destroys the business." Lisa sat back, her mind racing. She had never been one to back down from criticism, but for the first time, she felt the weight of her actions pressing down on her. The question was, what would she do about it? The cafe's controversy took another turn the following morning when Elon Musk addressed the incident on Twitter. His post was simple, yet it carried a profound message. Stopped by a cafe yesterday. Didn't mention who I was, just wanted a coffee. Got dismissed as a time waster. Interesting how assumptions shape how we treat others. Food for thought. The tweet quickly gained traction, amassing thousands of likes and retweets within minutes. Comments flooded in from all sides, some defending Elon, others criticizing Lisa, and many reflecting on their own behavior in similar situations. One user wrote, "This is such a reminder to be kind no matter who you're dealing with. You never know who they might be." Another chimed in, "It's not about Elon being rich or famous. It's about treating everyone with basic decency." The tone of the online discussion began to shift. What had initially been a storm of outrage directed at Lisa now turned into a broader conversation about kindness and empathy. People shared their own stories of being underestimated or dismissed and how those experiences had affected them. Elon's tweet was non-confrontational, which only added to its impact. It wasn't an attack on Lisa or the cafe, but a reflection on human behavior. His restraint and thoughtfulness garnered admiration and further fueled the viral nature of the post. Lisa, however, didn't see it that way. When she read Elon's tweet, she felt a wave of humiliation crash over her. It wasn't the words themselves that stung. It was the overwhelming response they generated. Hundreds of comments dissected her actions, some empathizing with her stress, but many more condemning her attitude. She slammed her phone down, her face hot with frustration. Of course he'd tweet about it, she muttered under her breath. Why wouldn't he? To Lisa, Elon's post felt like a spotlight shining on her worst moment, magnifying every flaw for the world to see. Her staff avoided her that day, sensing the tension in her demeanor. Lisa tried to focus on her work, but the notifications on her phone were relentless. Each buzz reminded her that the situation was spiraling further out of her control. By the end of her shift, Lisa felt more defensive than ever. She couldn't understand why one interaction, so mundane in her mind, had exploded into a viral debate. Exhausted and emotionally drained, she locked the cafe doors and headed home, wondering if things would ever return to normal. Lisa sat at her kitchen table that evening, staring at her phone. Elon's tweet had garnered millions of views, and the comments kept pouring in. As she scrolled, her emotions swung wildly between anger and shame. One comment read, "Everyone has bad days. Cut her some slack. But also, maybe treat people better." Another hit harder. Imagine the opportunities she missed because she couldn't see past her assumptions. Sad. Her phone buzzed with a call. It was her close friend Mia. Lisa hesitated but answered, her voice heavy with frustration. "Let me guess. You've seen the tweets." "I have," Mia said gently. "But I'm not calling to pile on. I just want to check on you." Lisa sighed, her defenses softening. "I don't know what to do, Mia. Everyone's acting like I'm some kind of monster. It's one bad moment. Why can't they let it go?" Mia's voice was calm but firm. "It's not just about that moment, Lisa. It's about what that moment represents. Elon Musk is just a guy in a hoodie to you, but to the world he's someone who challenges assumptions every day. This hit a nerve because it's a reflection of something bigger." Lisa stayed quiet, her fingers fidgeting with a coffee mug. Mia pressed on. "You've been under so much stress, Lisa. I know how hard you work to keep the cafe running, but maybe that's part of the problem. It's making you react to people in ways you wouldn't normally." The words cut through Lisa's defenses. For the first time, she let herself acknowledge the truth. The cafe had been struggling for months, and the weight of managing it had turned her into someone she barely recognized. Her patience had worn thin, her temper short, and her ability to see people as more than tasks had slipped away. A memory surfaced, a flashback to the day she took over the cafe. Back then, she had been full of hope, determined to create a warm and welcoming space. But over time, financial pressures, long hours, and the constant grind had chipped away at her optimism. Lisa's voice cracked as she spoke. "I didn't mean to treat him like that, Mia, or anyone for that matter. It's just, everything feels so overwhelming." Mia's tone softened. "Then maybe this is your chance to turn things around. Own up to it, learn from it, and show people who you really are. You can't change what happened, but you can decide what happens next." As they ended the call, Lisa felt a flicker of something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope. She wasn't sure what her next step would be, but for the first time, she allowed herself to see the incident not as a catastrophe, but as an opportunity for growth. The days following Elon Musk's tweet were a whirlwind for Lisa. The cafe's regular rhythm had been disrupted, and Lisa felt like she was walking on eggshells. Customers were less talkative, her staff seemed hesitant to engage with her, and every glance at her phone brought another reminder of the ongoing fallout. One afternoon, a sharply dressed woman entered the cafe, her presence commanding but not overbearing. Lisa, busy wiping down a table, barely noticed until the woman approached her with a confident smile. "Lisa Harrington?" the woman asked. Lisa nodded warily, setting down her cloth. "That's me. Can I help you?" "I'm Samantha Crow, a public relations consultant. I've been following the situation here, and I think I can help." Lisa crossed her arms, her skepticism evident. "Help with what? Convincing the world I'm not some heartless villain?" Samantha chuckled, unfazed. "Not exactly, but I can help you reshape the narrative. What happened here isn't just about one moment. It's about how you respond to it. And from where I stand, there's a real opportunity for growth." Lisa frowned, unsure how to respond. She didn't trust easily, especially after the flood of judgment she'd been facing. "Why would you want to help me?" Samantha leaned forward slightly, her voice softening. "Because I've seen this before. People are quick to judge, but they're also quick to forgive when they see someone take responsibility and make a change. Let's show them the real you, the one who cares about this cafe and the community it serves." Lisa hesitated but found herself nodding. "All right, I'm listening." As Samantha outlined her strategy, hosting an event, issuing a statement, and engaging positively with the community, Lisa felt a flicker of hope. For the first time since the incident, she could see a path forward. Later that evening, Lisa's phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. She hesitated but answered, bracing herself for another criticism. "Hello, this is Alex, Mr. Musk's assistant," the voice said. "Elon has been following the situation and would like to meet with you, if you're open to it." Lisa's breath caught. The idea of sitting face to face with Elon Musk was both terrifying and intriguing. "Meet him? Are you serious?" "Absolutely," Alex replied. "He believes in turning challenges into opportunities. If you're willing, we can set up a time and place." Lisa's mind raced. She felt conflicted, nervous about the conversation, but also aware that this could be her chance to explain herself and make amends. After a long pause, she took a deep breath and said, "Okay, let's do it." Lisa arrived at the designated location, a quiet cafe far from the spotlight of her own business. Her hands were clammy as she clutched her bag, her heart pounding with nerves. She had spent the past night replaying every word she might say, but now that the moment was here, her mind felt blank. Elon Musk was already seated at a corner table, dressed in his signature understated style, a simple black shirt and jeans. He looked up as Lisa approached, offering a small, welcoming smile. "Lisa," he said, standing and extending his hand. "Thank you for coming." Lisa shook his hand, her voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you for meeting me." They sat down, and for a moment there was a silence that felt heavier to Lisa than the noise of her cafe during a morning rush. Finally, she took a deep breath and spoke. I just want to start by saying I'm sorry, she said, her voice trembling slightly. The way I treated you, it wasn't fair. I didn't know who you were, but that's not an excuse. I let my stress and assumptions get the better of me. Elon nodded, his expression calm and attentive. I appreciate that. And to be honest, I've faced worse. But this isn't about me. It's about what moments like this reveal, about how we see each other and the judgments we make. Lisa looked down at her hands, her voice heavy with regret. I've been struggling. The cafe. It's been harder to manage than I ever imagined. I think I've forgotten why I started it in the first place. Elon leaned forward slightly, his voice thoughtful. I get it. Pressure can do that. I've been under the microscope for years, and there's always criticism. But I've learned that what matters most is how you respond. Do you let it harden you, or do you let it push you to grow? Lisa listened intently, his words resonating deeply. She hadn't expected empathy from someone so successful, but there it was, genuine and unguarded. You have a chance here, Elon continued, not just to rebuild your cafe's reputation, but to create something better. Foster an environment that welcomes everyone, no matter who they are. Make it a place where kindness is the rule, not the exception. Lisa nodded, her eyes misting. I want to do that. I don't want this moment to define me or my cafe. Elon smiled faintly. Then use it as a lesson. People are watching, yes, but they're also rooting for you. Show them what you're capable of. As they parted ways, Lisa felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She wasn't sure what the next steps would look like, but for the first time in weeks, she felt a sense of clarity and purpose. It wasn't about fixing the past, it was about building a better future. The cafe buzzed with activity as Lisa oversaw the final preparations for the community event she had titled Brewing Kindness. Inspired by her conversation with Elon Musk, Lisa wanted the event to be more than just damage control. It was a chance to reconnect with the values she had lost sight of. Flyers had been distributed throughout the neighborhood, inviting patrons to share stories of personal growth, forgiveness, and moments of unexpected kindness. Lisa stood near the entrance, welcoming early arrivals, the familiar faces of regular customers mixed with newcomers who had heard about the event online. Tables were arranged to encourage conversation, with small cards at each setting posing questions like, "What's a time you learned from a mistake?" and "Who has shown you unexpected kindness?" At the center of it all was a wall of kindness, where attendees could pin their stories on colorful cards. By mid-afternoon, it was already filling up with heartfelt messages, from a child's drawing of a smiling sun to a note from an elderly man about a stranger helping him change a tire in the rain. As Lisa moved through the crowd, she noticed someone standing quietly near the back, a tall man in a hoodie and baseball cap. For a moment, she thought it was a coincidence, but then their eyes met. Elon Musk offered her a small, knowing smile before blending back into the group. He wasn't there to draw attention, he was there to support. Throughout the event, Lisa made a point to engage with everyone, listening to their stories and sharing her own reflections. When she took the small stage set up near the counter, the room fell quiet. I want to thank you all for being here, she began, her voice steady despite the emotion behind it. This event is about more than coffee. It's about remembering that we're all human. We make mistakes, we get frustrated, but we also have the capacity for kindness and growth. This cafe has always been a place where I wanted people to feel welcome, and today I'm recommitting to that vision. The crowd erupted in applause, and Lisa felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. For the first time in weeks, the cafe felt alive in a way she hadn't experienced in years. The warmth of the community filled the space, replacing the tension and negativity that had once clouded it. Elon stayed in the background, quietly observing as Lisa spoke to patrons, her demeanor lighter and more open than ever. He eventually left without fanfare, leaving behind only his presence as a reminder of the power of a second chance. As the event wrapped up, Lisa looked around the cafe, her heart swelling with pride. It wasn't just a business, it was a space where people could connect and share. And for the first time, she felt like she was living up to that mission. The morning after brewing kindness, the cafe hummed with an energy that hadn't been there in months. Regulars returned with smiles, some bringing friends to share in the renewed atmosphere. New customers trickled in, drawn by word of mouth and social media posts about the event. The wall of kindness remained up, now a permanent fixture, with new stories added daily. Lisa sat at a corner table, reviewing a draft of new policies for the cafe. These weren't just rules, they were commitments to fostering a culture of respect and empathy. From enhanced staff training to ensuring every customer felt valued, Lisa was determined to build a space where kindness was baked into every interaction. The staff, too, had changed. Inspired by Lisa's transformation, they embraced the new direction with enthusiasm. During their first post-event meeting, one server suggested a monthly community hour where patrons could gather for discussions or charity drives. Lisa nodded, her pride in her team evident. As weeks turned into months, the cafe's reputation began to rebuild. Articles shifted from critiquing the incident to praising Lisa's response. Headlines like, "Cafe turns viral moment into local movement for kindness," captured the attention of the community and beyond. Lisa, however, cared less about the press and more about the people who walked through her doors each day. Elon Musk's involvement faded into the background, exactly as he had intended. His quiet support had helped spark the transformation, but Lisa understood that the journey was hers to own. Every decision she made moving forward was a testament to the lessons she had learned. One morning, Lisa stood behind the counter, her apron neatly tied and her expression calm. A new customer approached, nervously glancing at the menu. She greeted them with a warm smile, her voice kind and patient. "Take your time," she said. "There's no rush." As she handed them their coffee, Lisa felt a quiet sense of fulfillment. It wasn't just about fixing her mistakes. It was about building a future rooted in the values she now held dear. The bell over the door jingled, signaling another customer, and Lisa turned to greet them. The cafe wasn't perfect, and neither was she, but it had become a place of growth and connection. And that, Lisa realized, was worth everything. Want to hear more of this? Then you won't believe what sick stuff happened in the video at your right-hand side.